Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Maleficent. This is the story of the villain from Sleeping Beauty. So we're going all the way back to what, 47?
Long time ago.
They're around there, yeah, and trying to flesh out this character in live action is the whole idea here. Angelina Jolie playing the title character, and this, of course, is a film by Disney, going back, and as they have a few times, going back to an old animated property and doing some live action thing with it. We've done this with 101 Dalmatians. There have been a couple. I'm trying to think if exactly that has been done with anything else. And this, they were really selling as this is kind of Jungle Book. Was that Disney? Yes, did do that. Good job. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, well done. But yeah, so like Disney really kind of sold this as here is the history of Maleficent. Here's this character, and like you kind of see Sleeping Beauty in the trailers and stuff, and the fairies and things, but you don't know how much of it's really going to be that story. And of course, we're going to do a non-spoiler review, but hopefully this isn't giving too much away. It is kind of that story again. Yeah. And let's go ahead and jump into it. So, Sarah, how do you feel about Maleficent?
Well, this movie made me feel like I was watching an outline being acted out on screen.
Wow, all right, explain that.
Well, you know how sometimes to get a plot going, a movie will just kind of give you bullet points, or what you feel are bullet points, like the big essential, this is what happened in the past, bringing you up to present day. Well, imagine that for an entire movie. That's how I felt, where it seemed like whoever wrote this script just didn't write a script, they wrote an outline. And they gave that to the director and said, okay, film the outline. And that's kind of what it feels like, where you have this event happens, this plot point happens, so we get to see this plot point happening. And then we have to get to the next plot point, so we film that plot point happening. And the whole movie's like that. And at first,
so it comes off sort of like just a bunch of stuff that's happening?
Exactly. The characters don't feel fleshed out. They don't feel like they have very strong motivations. I don't get to know anybody. For as much screen time as Maleficent has, we get lots of great, beautiful images of her. Yeah. But we don't delve into her psyche.
So what you're saying is these characters are not fully drawn.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really weird because I haven't seen, I don't know if I've ever seen a movie do that to this extent.
I've seen action movies do it.
Sure.
You know, like I think we've all seen that. We've all seen movies where the story itself doesn't seem as important as like the action or whatever. So you have kind of just a cookie cutter formulaic thing. But I'm not sure that's exactly what this is.
This was more than just a cookie cutter story being told around certain big
action set pieces or whatever?
Or whatever.
There aren't a lot of actually huge action scenes, right?
Around, big major scenes that you want to see happen. It's more than, it's different than that. It's just, we want this to happen, we want this to happen, we want this to happen, we want this to happen. And so it all happens,
so you're saying it's totally script driving the events.
Right, it's not character driven at all. It's completely plot driven.
So would you say you didn't care about anyone in the film, or would you say that you couldn't because they're not even, you don't even feel like you're looking at people?
Because they weren't real. I wanted to so much. I saw the trailers for this. Sleeping Beauty is one of my favorite Disney films, even though I haven't seen it very, very much. We didn't own that one.
But that tells you something. It's memorable.
It's very memorable. The imagery of it just stuck with me. Yeah. And so I was pumped for this because Maleficent is someone that we don't have any idea. I mean, she's such a shadowy background character.
There's a blank slate there.
She's evil and she does evil things, but we don't know anything about her other than, okay, she's evil. And so I was hoping for a movie where we'd get her fleshed out in the modern, we need to flesh everybody out sort of way. Now,
did that bother you that we felt the need to do that? Well, like, was it just a thing you could appreciate as a piece, even if you didn't want it in the first place?
It's something where...
Or did you want it in the first place?
I was excited for it because I like the character. Yeah. I was worried they might do it wrong, but I was drawn to. I love the lighting in this movie. I love just the coloration. Just the tone of it is so fabulous. So
you thought it was...
And it came across in the trailers.
So you thought it was stylized
yes,
enough.
It was stylized great. So when I saw the trailers, that really popped at me. And I felt drawn to it. And so I really wanted, I was wanting it by the time I got to the theater. And what I got wasn't what I thought I was going to get. So I ended up being a bit disappointed, and so I'm not feeling it. I have to say that I left the theater very disappointed, and
you sound surprised.
I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
I expected to like this movie. I figured, okay, so it's a Disney thing, it's a reimagining, it's kind of a revisioning of this thing, so it may not be to what I like, but I expected a story, I expected character development, stuff being fleshed out, but instead we got the same backbone of a story, but everybody was backwards and wonky, and I don't know why they made some of the changes they did, because they could make me buy the changes they made if they made any sense within the story. Mm-hmm. But they just didn't. They gave me nothing. They just said, okay, these things are different, and they're different for no good reason. So make me buy it. Convince me, because I was willing to go along with it.
Okay, wow, a little bit scathing. I felt similarly. So this movie made me feel like, at the end of the day, I just wanted an old-fashioned good versus evil fairy tale. Yeah. And I didn't get that. And it's funny coming from me because I'm not a fairy tale guy. I'm not into these kind of movies. But and when I see these kind of movies, I didn't feel like that's what this was going to be. So, I mean, like I came to this expecting maybe not something incredibly sophisticated or anything. This didn't have to be, like, incredibly deep and nuanced or anything. But I'm with you. I wanted things to at least kind of make sense. So and I wanted Maleficent to still be, if not straight up evil, at least ambiguous.
Bad guy.
Or, yeah.
In some fashion.
At least complex.
Yeah.
Where maybe she did really bad things, but you could appreciate why, because you knew her backstory now. You knew who she was. You could see she is a sympathetic character in that you understand why she got to where she got, and then you can see why she does what she does, even if you don't condone it.
Maybe like Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2.
Where
he's evil, but he has his own reasons, and we're behind him, sympathetic.
I'm thinking, if we're gonna go comic book, I'd say Magneto first.
Okay, sure.
Because I want somebody that has an extreme worldview, that thinks doing horrible things to people and killing people is the right way to go for her. Yeah. And I wanted something devious. Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't feel like I'm asking for too much, because I always hesitate. I don't want to review a movie and say it's bad because it didn't meet my expectations. Yeah. Some of my favorite movies are movies where I had expectations and what they did was subvert them and then give me something entirely different that was great. Yeah. And this was not that. So it didn't supplant my expectations with something great, with something really good, I don't think. And also, I don't think those expectations are too unreasonable given the character that they were presenting. So, if you're going to do Maleficent, if you're going to, and this is the way that they really spun it in the trailers and all of the advertising and stuff, is that, like, she's still a shadowy, mysterious, devious character, and you don't. And I mean, like the reason you cast someone like Angelina Jolie is because she has that. She is that. She's really good at that. You know what I mean? She irradiates that. Yeah. And I thought it was a brilliant casting choice.
She played it great.
And I'm gonna say that Jolie was great. She was just who you would have wanted for that part. Yeah. And I felt for her the whole movie because I felt like she didn't get the right material to work with. I felt like the script was incredibly sappy. I felt like it was that the whole way they approached the concept was uninspired. I thought that I thought that it had this kind of like prequel problem. It's not a straight up prequel, but it has that problem of there's all these things that you don't know about this character. Sometimes what you don't know about a character is what makes them so interesting. And so you're already going down a kind of rocky road, a very difficult thing to navigate, and we've seen it done. We've seen it work. Pixar did it with Monsters University. I have seen few but some prequels that take characters that I knew and loved and didn't have to turn them into something else to ironically get them to where they thought they would get to be who they were. This, in my opinion, has that Star Wars prequels problem of here's this character that we don't really understand, and we're going to kind of force a backstory, and it's just kind of the obvious. Well, you know what's funny? What's funny is I want to say it's the obvious way to go, and it's not, because the obvious thing to do would be to make this character evil somehow, and so you saw it, but in our modern day we have to humanize villains. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I think it could be done. That's the problem, is that I think you could humanize this character and not make her so different from what she was. Yeah. So when I wrote my board, what I meant by that was, it's not a fairy tale. What they're trying to give you is a more modern take on a character like this that's in a fairy tale, and say she's actually a more complex person, and there is no straight up black and white. And you don't get that in fairy tales. Fairy tales are good versus evil. So what this was, and this is spelled out to us in the end. The whole idea of this is Maleficent is neither good or bad. She is something in between. And I wish it had been that, but I felt like it was just way too simplified. What they do with her, because we didn't really do a whole lot in the way of synopsis. What they do with her is they have one single event that is the catalyst for what turns her into the evil, with a capital M, Maleficent. But she's never evil. She never even really. She feigns it, kind of, but it's mostly just, I want to get revenge on this one person. And then she immediately thinks better of it. This is an incredibly innocent character at the beginning, and then she gets all enraged and angry because someone that she cared about turns his back on her. It's a love story thing. And then she she loses something precious to her, and then she lashes out, and the way she lashes out is by creating the curse for Sleeping Beauty, which I thought was done in an incredibly, again, kind of forced in kind of way. It was well, she has to have motivations for doing these things, and I just felt like it could have been done in a far more natural and clever sort of way. Yeah, and I really thought that. I
just thought it was silly that a character named Maleficent,
I can't get my mind around that,
started out as this carefree, innocent child. What were her parents thinking?
I knew we were in trouble when the movie starts, and there's this big kind of bolstering, triumphant kind of score and stuff where we see her as a child flying around, and there's this narration that's like, and her name was Maleficent, and it's not this evil thing, it's not this like scary thing. It's okay. She's just this like. This like a grown this bigger looking fairy, because we have the little fairies, but like she's like
larger fairy.
She's a human sized fairy who's like 9 or 10 years old, and she or whatever, and or a tween or something, and she's flying around, and her name is already Maleficent. And I'm like, okay, there are a lot of things that I know that word does not mean. Yes. That word does not mean carefree. That word does not mean misunderstood. And that's what this character is in this. The whole idea behind this whole movie is it actually happened different from the way you thought it did, and that Maleficent was actually just this totally misunderstood character who made one mistake, and everybody thought she was a total warpath demon thing. And the thing about it is they thought that before she did the thing anyway. Yeah. But yeah. So anyway,
well, it's because her name was Maleficent.
That's a really good point. Like, if your name is and I wish that had been addressed somewhere in the film, where somebody's like, look, if you have a name like
and her friend's deceitful and evil and villainous.
Yeah, the boy at the beginning when she's like, my name's Maleficent, I was like, this boy didn't get any education. Because he's not immediately going, oh man, that sounds like something I should stay away from.
A little ominous.
She's like, look, I'm sorry, it's misleading. I'm not really like that. It's just my crazy parents thought it sounded nice. You know, it's like when people name their kids like really unfortunate sounding things, you know, like Electra or something, where it's like it sounds great. Like my brother, I'm gonna call it my brother. My brother named one of his daughters Electra. Love that name. I would have thought about maybe doing that too. But then like the connotations, you know what I mean? Like
tragic.
I would be a little bit trepidatious about going with something that tragic. But to basically name your kid deviousness. You know what I mean? Like you're basically naming your kid you're basically saying you know, we looked up the definition just to make sure. So dictionary.com says this is actually what it says. It's like, well, it's a step. It doesn't say exactly. It basically says it's a step up from malevolent. Okay, malevolent is already pretty ominous sounding. Like you know, if a person is like Norman Osborn is malevolent, but Maleficent not even says that. It is such an extreme version of that word. No one even uses it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I mean, and it sounds. Here's the thing. It sounds like the coolest bad A kind of like villain name ever.
Yeah.
And then we take that villain and we make her like this total hero character.
Yeah.
And like she's not even really an anti-hero. Like a lot of people were looking at the trailers and going, oh no, this is awful. We're humanizing this character. And I thought, well, you could humanize her and she could still be really bad.
Yeah.
That's not what they did. And this whole idea. So anyway, but this whole idea of. And in a second, I'll talk about the things that I liked, because I didn't. It's not that there was nothing, but
just very little.
The script just doesn't work,
yeah.
and the basic concept of the whole thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
If this had been pitched as a reimagining, I could roll my eyes at it and more easily move on. And I'm not a big Sleeping Beauty fan or anything, but again, it is one of those where the iconography sticks with you. And I hate it when you get a remake or a reboot or a prequel to something, and all that's there that worked in the original is the iconography, and clearly they didn't understand the piece in the first place. This thing, it's not complicated, but they tried to complicate it. Mm-hmm. They tried to make these characters more complex and didn't succeed. So ultimately, the characters are no much more or less well-rounded in a modern sense than they were when it was a fairy tale. So with the fairy tale, I knew what it was. This, it's like it doesn't really even know what it wants to be.
Yeah.
Well, it does. It wants to make Maleficent a superhero, and I don't understand why you would want to do that. She's too fascinating of an idea to do that to her, and so I just felt bad about it because so if it had been just a reimagining, like I said, I could roll my eyes, move on. But in the film, it tells you thought you knew this story, but it's actually different. Like you know, it didn't work out exactly the way you thought it. Actually, it didn't work out anything like what we were given the first time. Really, I mean, like I'm not going to give anything away, but you get to the end, and I had this last straw moment where I was just like, they take one of the coolest things about that character and they make it totally uncool. Yeah. And anyway, I don't know, man. I mean, like, I'm being really hard on it. I just didn't like it, and I hate that because again, I wanted to. This was one of the movies I was super excited about because I thought you know, Angelina Jolie in that part seemed like such a cool idea.
And it was.
She looks fantastic. Yeah. And she gets a few shots where you can tell like that deviousness. That's why she was cast, and then she doesn't get to use it, and she gets thrown under the bus over and over again, and it's really sad.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what things were that you liked about it.
Well, mostly visual things.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of the designs of creatures and monsters and landscapes and things. I thought some of the CGI was kind of badly integrated with the live action.
If I can tell it's CG, it's bad.
Yeah, some of the CG was pretty badly integrated. Some of it was not so greatly rendered, but some of the time it was more of just a matter of it's not meshing very well with the live action for me. I really liked like the tree creatures. I thought those looked really cool. I really liked like the landscape of the place where she lives, and it's this very fantastic alien looking place, and especially when they get into it at night and you see like all the colors flying around and stuff. I thought obviously this goes without saying, but like the wardrobe and stuff with Maleficent was really cool. I really enjoyed seeing that. All of the green magic stuff looks fantastic. I mean, the iconography they got down, but that's kind of the easy part in a way. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to belittle that because obviously they hired really talented people that were able to bring that to it. No, I thought that the look and the sound of it was fine. Like, I thought that the production quality of it overall was all right. Again, I still didn't like some of the CG. The biggest problem for me CG-wise, and I mean, like, I don't mean to throw out a praise and then immediately crumble it with a negative, but we're talking about CG, and this is the only place I can put this. I could not deal with the way the fairies were done. I didn't like the fairies in the first place. They were irritating all the way through. They really took those characters and just made them obnoxious. And I hate that too because there were some they got 3 really good actresses for that, but I don't know. Anyway, but they did this thing that I have a really tough time with, which is everything else is live action, and then you get to the fairies and they have CG faces where they're trying really hard to make them look real because the actresses actually they're actually at one point in the movie able to turn human, and so they use the actual actresses, so they're trying to use their faces and make them look. But the thing about it is, it's not the kind of thing where they go, okay, they're animated and then they're live action. It's they want to trick you into thinking they're live action the whole movie. That's what it looks like to me. And they they get as close as you can get to.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, it's fake Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy. I mean, like they get as far as they can get. But why didn't they just shoot those? Why didn't they just shoot the fairies in live action and shrink them? We've been able to do this forever. Why didn't they do it the way they did like Tinkerbell and Hook? Why didn't they do it that way? Because most of the time, there are some places where where you see the fairies' faces when you see real human faces. For the most part, though, they're on screen by themselves. And then whenever they need to fly around and do any action-y things, you don't see their faces and it's in CG. Why couldn't they have just done it that way? Why couldn't they have just shot the fairies in live? It would have been a lot more realistic looking, and even if I could have been able to tell some of the green screen and stuff, it would have been a lot easier to swallow, and I wouldn't have felt taken out so much. The faces were just hard to look at for me. I didn't like that.
Well, just that doubled with you just didn't want to see those fairies on screen anyway because they were just so obnoxious. Every time they were on screen, they did something or just said something. And I don't know, I couldn't take their voices.
And our audience enjoyed a lot of stuff we didn't. I want to throw that out there. A good portion of our audience applauded at the end, and I found that hard to understand. I mean, people certainly can enjoy whatever they enjoy. I was very surprised that our audience had such a different reaction to it than we did. They were laughing at things that I didn't find even remotely funny. There were a lot of places where I was like, wow, this crowd is eating this up. It's not working for me. I thought that was really interesting. Again, I'm not judging anybody. I had a very different experience with the film than those folks did. I'm glad they enjoyed it more than I did, but that's where I was with it. I liked the guy who was a crow and got turned human by Maleficent.
I thought it was
enjoyed
cool that
him.
They got an actor that sort of looked like a crow. Did you notice
kind
that?
of like Max Grodenchik sort of looks like a Ferengi?
Exactly. It was kind of along those lines where, his nose just kind of looks like a beak. I don't know. I think they did a good job casting that guy.
He was the one pretty consistent character all the way through, which is really interesting because he was also the most simplistic. He was a crow and he got turned into a guy, and then Well,
but the thing is, he's one of the few characters in that movie who's supposed to be simplistic.
Yeah.
You know? So you understand him completely because he has nothing to do.
The lesson here is that less is more, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you look at like the king. He makes no sense in a lot of ways. Like, I get why he does what he does in the first place, but I thought it was too, again, force is kind of the word of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, like you know,
he did a bad thing because he had to do a bad thing because the script called for it, and we had to get to a place.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I agree with that. And again, I could have been made to buy that.
Yeah.
But then after that, and I mean, I'm talking kind of cryptically, but then after that, the big thing I couldn't get my mind around was why his kingdom allowed him to keep being king, because he wasn't king in the first place. He does a thing that allows him to be king, and then then it turns out that he didn't actually accomplish that, but then they let him keep being king anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it, but there were, so I mean, I don't know. It's not that for the most part it's an incredibly sloppy script. There are a couple of big things where I'm like, you guys didn't think that through. But it's not one of those stories, because I find these all the time and I'm constantly talking about. It's not one of those stories where everything is just out of nowhere and random. Mm-hmm. It's more that it's just not a character-driven story, so things just happen because they have to, and I'm completely detached.
Yeah.
That's where I was. I'm very disappointed. I wanted to love this movie.
Yeah.
I love the potential idea of doing this, regardless of the fear of this character being too humanized, mm-hmm. and then that happened to a ridiculous degree.
Yeah. Well, I guess in a way, there's just no way to take the movie seriously.
I couldn't take it seriously. That's it.
I don't know.
That's a very harsh review from us.
Yeah.
Again, I guess I'm glad other folks are liking it more than we did, but yeah, it didn't work for me.
Yeah. Me neither.
Well, anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Sure appreciate it, and I will be back again with somebody to do another review here in a couple weeks. I'm about to go on a big road trip next week to make the Midwest in Panels, our comic shop documentary across the Midwest. So I won't have really any videos next week. But what is coming up? We got Ninja Turtles in July. We've got Guardians in August, and a couple of other things here and there. So should be some genre things that I'll want to go to and do reviews for you. Sarah and I will probably review the Sin City sequel, because Sarah really likes Sin City, and I know some of you are probably like, Sarah likes Sin City? She doesn't seem like the type. Sarah, it's one of Sarah's favorite movies.
It's weird. It's a weird anomaly thing, but
yeah, and then I turned him into a Pez dispenser. But anyway, so more to come here in the coming weeks, and I want to hear from people. Leave a comment if you saw the movie, and tell us if you agree with us or if you enjoyed it more. Are we being too harsh on it? Did it work better for you guys? Leave us a comment. I'd love to know. And in the meantime, I'm Captain Logan,
and I'm Sarah,
and thanks for watching. Do 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 do.